Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. And today I want to talk about a man named Ron Wyatt. Just in case you haven't heard who he was or what's going on, you could always look him up online. You could always look his videos up here on YouTube or wherever. But anyways, Ron Wyatt is a controversial figure in biblical archaeology. He, he was notable for, I would say, discovering Noah's Ark, but kind of rediscovering, kind of confirming it. Ron Wyatt was a Seventh-day Adventist. He was a humble man, uh, from all accounts. He wasn't one of those proud, boastful guys. He believed in Yahweh and Yeshua, and he lived in a generous way towards others, his fellow man. Anyways, he made some discoveries or rediscoveries or whatever you want to call it. And he always accredited it to Yahweh. And, it's possible he did, Yahweh guided him. But one of the places was Noah's Ark. He, back in the 60s and 70s, Noah's Ark was discovered. They had some archaeologists and them go by there, but these were like atheists. They didn't believe in it. So basically, in a way, they just went there, looked at it for a small amount of time and said, yeah, it's not a boat. They said it was, something else, just to sugarcoat it away. I guess they actually even blew a hole in it or something, the side of it. But anyways, they went back, and it was years later, Ron White, he read an article about it. And with his own money, he financed to go over there, study it, have tests done on it. And he spent about probably 90% of, the budget, what's going, through the 70s, late 80s, and so on. He spent about 90% of his own out of pocket money to go back and forth, and then have all these tests done. He was joined by former NASA astronaut Jim Irwin, and David Fassold. He was there, a few others. He did all kinds of top-notch tests on it, and they discovered, it took a while for them to convince the Turkish government that it was Noah's Ark, but with all the information and evidence and knowledge and everything they had, all the data, the Turkish government finally deemed it Noah's Ark Park, and Ron White was there when it was opened, and that ain't the only find that he did. The other one was the mountain of Yahweh in Saudi Arabia. He went there. He was scuba diving in the Red Sea or the Reed Sea. He decided to go over to Saudi Arabia, and he got chartered a plane, did all this and that, and he went over there. And Ron discovered some things. He got some pictures of it, but the Saudi government thought he was him and his sons were Jewish spies. So they were arrested. Their stuff was confiscated. But somebody that knew that Ron Wyatt and the sons were going to go over there actually tipped off the government that they were spies out of spitefulness or whatever. But for about 70 days, they were imprisoned. They tried to convince the government there that it was the true mountain of Yahweh. And before you know it, it was caged up and shut down, fences put around it, guard posts and everything else. And that paved the way for Jim and Penny Caldwell to get in there and start getting pictures, because they took Ron's pictures and all of his evidence away, confiscated. But Jim and Penny, they went there and they got all the pictures. They walked around, looked at everything, and thankfully for them, we got what we got out of it today. And today, the mountain is kind of open to tourists now. A lot of people go over there. The government's kind of, it's not so tight about it. But the other one was the Red Sea. Ron discovered in the Red Sea was chariot wheels gold chariot wheels and other ancient artifacts from where the Exodus, where Pharaoh's armies were engulfed by the Red Sea when the walls collapsed on them. He found evidence of that too. And today's, later on after him, even today, they're going scuba diving down there and getting pictures of all these artifacts that are down there. So that was attributed to Haran, of course. There's a few others that he's discovered, or at least brought attention to. And one more, I want to bring up the grain bins in Egypt. He kind of put two and two together. They were discovered, and he said them are Joseph's grain bins from the famine in Genesis. But I'm not sure if they're grain bins or not, because they're like sort of like underground. But they could be, the Egyptian could be backwards instead of, like us. Our grain bins are on the surface and they tower up, like 20 feet, 50 feet, 50 feet, whatever, But they could be, but he brought attention to them too. And the last one, though, the last intriguing one, is his alleged discovery of the Ark of the Covenant itself. Yeah, story goes that he's walking by the skull of the rock, and he suddenly looks around and points. He points at this place, and he says it's Jeremiah's grotto, and he said the ark's in there. He claimed he didn't know why he did that, but he did. And anyways, he got a digging permit. He started digging in there and everything. And he alleged later on he found table showbread, some gold relics, and he found the ark, and he actually opened the lid up and tried to get a look in there, but he couldn't because of the, it was only, it wasn't that, much here for him to see. He this like this, and he couldn't poke his eyes down in there very well, but he did see some things. And then he went out and he told the certain people of the government of Israel, and Israel said, "Okay, we'll take care of it. Don't say nothing to nobody about it." So he went around to other, went around on touring the town or something like that, and they finally came up to him and said they needed him to go back in the hole because there was roughly 4 guys in there that went in to try to look at him and retrieve the artifacts, but they never came out, and he had to go in there and pull them out because they were dead. So he went in there and pulled them out, and they were dead. But he also claimed he saw this hole in the ground in the ceiling, had black residue on it, so he scraped some of it off. And he worked in the medical field, so he thought, possibly it could be blood. I don't know, ancient old blood. He got it, took some samples, took it to the geneticist or whatever over in Israel, said test this, and I guess it came back blood, but it didn't have the father's chromosomes in it, only the mother's. And what he's saying, it was Yeshua's blood. Yeshua, when he was crucified, they had this stake in the ground that went all the way in the ground, and his blood went down and drained down into the ground there. And remember the big earthquake, when he said it was finished and everything crazy happened, the earthquake, and he claims the blood went down there and landed on the mercy seat. The blood sprinkled on the mercy seat of the ark that was buried down there, which was it's an intriguing story. It's very fascinating. But that's, from the earthquake, the blood went down there, and they said there's this blood don't have no father's chromosomes in, it's all mother's. So he said, it was had to be Yeshua's blood. It's the Messiah's. And that's a discovery that he allegedly said he found, and the government was quiet, hush hush about it, even to this day, because of it could create an international incident with the Muslims. Plus, I think the Jews just want to get an upper hand, so if they ever rebuild the temple, they have all that stuff in place and ready, and they could do it lightning speed, and before anybody tries to stop them, the Muslims or the international community. And that's why they're keeping it hush hush for now. And I don't know if they've ever moved it. If it's there, I don't know if they've moved it. If they just left it alone, placed guards around it. But it's a fascinating story, and some people don't believe anything about what Ron Wyatt, his contributions to the biblical archaeology and others said, yeah, they believe in it. And when it comes to the Ark of the Covenant, ain't really no evidence. We don't have no evidence that he did or he didn't. We just, in my view, go by the other contributions he did with Noah's Ark and, the wheel, the chariot wheels down in the Red Sea or the Reed Sea, and the mountain of Yahweh, stuff like that, what he contributed. And, it's possible, it's very highly likely that he did find this stuff, the Ark of the Covenant down there, and, it's not like a salvation thing. If you believe it and it's not true, it's not like, your salvation is in jeopardy or anything. It's not a salvation issue. It's just a faith issue. Do you believe the guy or not? And, and by all accounts, people said he was an honest guy. He wasn't, he didn't do it for the fame because he didn't make no money off of, doing all this discoveries. He didn't make no money. In fact, his life savings and everything, he was spending the money venturing to, tour all these places and get people in there and, test this and do that, and, he didn't make no money off of it. So that tells you one thing about him, and all accounts, his family and friends always spoke highly of him, said he was an honorable man. He didn't lie. He loved fellow man. He loved Yahweh and Yeshua. And ain't no reason for him to lie. So, I mean, I'm inclined to believe that he did find the Ark of the Covenant. And, it's obvious that the Israeli government wants to keep it hush hush, and that's okay, for their own purposes. But, I just wanted to bring light on Ron Wyatt, a lot of people that don't know him or anything, never knew him or anything, they like to bash him, and say he's a charlatan or he don't know what he's talking about or glory hound or whatever. These people don't even know him or didn't knew him or know him or anything, and it's kind of unfair, just, these people probably just, jealous and everything. But if this, if this person was chosen by Yahweh to help bring light to these things, as a witness for the end times, it's not a very good idea, for us to badmouth these people that Yahweh chosen to do this particular man, because he served Yahweh and he listened to Yahweh rather than man. That's how much he loved Yahweh, because Yahweh had a job for him to do. He did it. He didn't care what other people would say. He just did what he was told. And that takes a tremendous amount of faith and courage to do. So, anyways, let me know what you think about Ron Wyatt. Comment below. Let me, like I said, I never censor my things. You can speak of, positive or negative about them. I like to hear about that. And hey, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, notification bells for additional, future content. And I thank you again for stopping by. And till we meet again, shalom and peace out.